Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gushin Galan and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, I get you the top 50 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. We start with the latest in West Asia. Israeli forces unleashed strikes at military sites in Tartus region to western Syria. It was reportedly the heaviest strike in the area in over a decade. Israeli warplanes targeted Syria's air defense units and surface-to-surface missile depots. The Israeli military also launched as many as 61 strikes in Syria in less than 5 hours. The Israeli government is set to double the population of the occupied Golan Heights. The Israeli authorities unanimously approved the $11 million plan. The amount will be used for the demographic development of the region. The announcement came a week after former President Bashar al-Assad's ouster from Syria. Rebel leader Abu Muhammad al-Jolani has criticized Israel for its incursion into southern Syria. Jolani, however, added that Syria was too exhausted for a fresh conflict. The rebel leader said Israel is ready to cross the disengagement lines. This after Israeli troops seized the unpatrolled buffer zone on the Golan Heights. Continuing with Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, the rebel leader met visiting UN envoy Geir Pedersen in Damascus. The Hayat Tahrir al-Sham or the HTS leader discussed the transition in Syria with the envoy. The motive behind the meeting was to discuss an amendment in a 2015 UN Security Council resolution. The resolution designated Al-Nusrat Front, the rebel group's parent organization, as a terrorist outfit. Meanwhile, the new Damascus government has called to lift sanctions on Syria. The appeal was supported by the United Nations envoy. A report says former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's regime dispatched around $250 million in cash to Moscow. The cash was sent via airplanes between 2018 and 2019 and deposited at sanctioned Russian banks. The banknotes were flown at a time when Syria lacked foreign currencies. The transfers highlight the deepening financial ties between two countries isolated by the West. The chief of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, General Hossein Salami, has launched a stern warning for Israel. Salami said Israel would pay a heavy price and would be buried in Syria. The comments came amid Israel's ongoing strikes in the country. He added that Syrians were living with dignity when Iran's military presence over there. But since they left after the fall of Assad, terrible incidents have been happening. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to US President-elect Donald Trump on call before the leaders discussed the conflicts in West Asia. During the phone call, Netanyahu emphasized Israel's need to ensure victory against Hamas. They also discussed the recent push for a ceasefire in Gaza region. Netanyahu also discussed the political transition in Syria and said that he was not looking for conflict with the country. Israel has announced it will shut its embassy in Ireland. Ties between the two countries are frayed over Israel's war in Gaza. Ireland backs the recognition of independent Palestinian state. It also supports the genocide case filed against Israel at the International Court of Justice by South Africa. Israel says the decision to close the diplomatic mission was in light of Dublin's extreme anti-Israel policies. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken discussed the situation in Syria with British Foreign Secretary David Lammy. During the call, Blinken said that US will back an accountable and representative government. Meanwhile, Britain has also declared $63 million as humanitarian aid for Syria. Lammy has said that UK will support Syria for better governance in the future. A Russian oil tanker sank in the Black Sea, threatening a massive ecological crisis in the region. The ship sank during a heavy storm yesterday. At least one person was reported dead in the incident. The sunken tank spilled over 4,000 tons of oil in the Black Sea. Russian President Vladimir Putin has set up a committee to mitigate the impact of oil spill. Meanwhile, a second oil tanker also suffered massive damage but was saved from sinking. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was discharged from hospital on Sunday. He underwent an emergency brain surgery in a Sao Paulo hospital. In his first remarks after the surgery, President Lula De Silva said, and I quote, "I defend the right to live up to 120 years," end quote. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sri Lankan President Anurakkumara Dissanayake met at the Hyderabad House in New Delhi. MOUs were exchanged in the presence of both the leaders. Dissanayake chose India as the destination of his first overseas trip after coming to power earlier this year. The leader of South Korea's ruling party has stepped down. Han Dong-hoon was the chief of South Korea's ruling People's Power Party. His resignation comes 2 days after President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment. Han faced backlash from his party for backing the impeachment vote, but he said he had no regret in doing so. Bangladesh's interim leader Mohammad Yunus has announced the election schedule. He said the polling might either be held late next year or early 2026. Yunus took over as the country's chief advisor after former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's ouster. Yunus, who is currently leading the caretaker government, has been facing mounting pressure to set an election date. 7 tourists were hospitalized in a suspected case of alcohol poisoning in South Pacific nation of Fiji. Among the 7, 4 of them were Australians and 1 was an American national. The tourists fell ill after drinking a cocktail at a resort on the south coast of Vnukovo Island. The resort has said that an investigation is currently underway. Now bringing you some climate updates. Cyclone Chido tore through the French island territory of Mayotte over the weekend. The storm brought over winds of 220 kilometers per hour. Footage from the island shows widespread devastation with damaged houses, government buildings and overturned containers. The government has reported just 14 deaths so far, but a senior official said that the actual figure could be in hundreds and even thousands. Meanwhile, Cyclone Chido continued into northern Mozambique. It led to at least 3 deaths in East African nation. The cyclone brought strong winds and heavy rain, destroying several buildings. More than 2,800 people were given shelter on Pemba Island in the nation. In the U.S., a tornado struck Scotts Valley in Northern California over the weekend. As per reports, it injured at least 4 people and caused significant damage. Meanwhile, extreme weather wreaked havoc across the U.S. Midwest and Northeast. An ice storm hit Iowa and Nebraska. Heavy snow buried upstate New York. In India's capital, New Delhi, temperatures dropped to 4.5 degrees Celsius. The air quality also slipped to very poor category with AQI above 300. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued a cold wave alert for several northern Indian states. Rescue teams from Thailand's Border Patrol Police have been working tirelessly to assist flood victims in Champon province. Residents waded through waist-high waters while armored vehicles navigated submerged roads. The floods have severely disrupted travel with several sections of Asian Highway 41 completely cut off. On to business and tech news now. The price of new homes in China fell by 0.1% in November this year. This is the slowest pace of housing price decline the nation has seen in the past 1.5 years. It provides a small hope to the Chinese property sector, which has been marred by weak demand and high debt. China has rolled out several stimulus packages to help the crisis-hit property sector. The cryptocurrency Bitcoin surged past the $106,000 mark today. The virtual currency jumped over 3% to reach the new record value. This comes after the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump suggested creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the U.S. Bitcoin has surged over 192% this year, banking on Trump's victory in the U.S. election. Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has reportedly discussed plans to privatize the U.S. Postal Service. The government-owned courier agency reported losses of about $9.5 billion in the last financial year. Reports say that when Trump was informed about these losses, he said the government should not subsidize the organization. The Trump transition team has reportedly planned to scrap a car crash reporting requirement. The rule requires self-driving car makers and driver assistance technology firms to report certain crashes. The new Department of Government, led by Elon Musk, has reportedly asked the president-elect to end the rule. Reports say Elon Musk's Tesla will significantly benefit from this move. Workers at the American oil refinery Marathon Petroleum have voted to ratify a wage agreement. The 7-year deal ends a 3-month strike by Marathon workers. However, the company did not reveal the details of the agreement. The U.S. Treasury Department has reportedly informed Japan's Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel about their merger. The department said that the panel reviewing the deal is split and has not reached an agreement yet. The deal is being reviewed by the U.S. Committee on Foreign Investment. The committee, which reviews foreign investment in the U.S., has extended the deadline to approve or block the deal. The founder of the Spanish fast fashion chain Mango, Isaac Andique, has died at the age of 71. He fell down a ravine while hiking in caves near Barcelona. The Turkish-born businessman founded Mango in 1984. The firm has grown to include 3,000 outlets in 120 countries with an estimated value of $4.5 billion. Australia's markets watchdog had sued the banking giant HSBC. It accuses the bank of failing to protect customers from scams. The bank received about 950 reports of unauthorized transactions between 2020 and 2024. The regulator says HSBC's Australian customers lost about $14.6 million in these scams. India reportedly exported about $2.4 billion worth of smartphones in November this year. The number surpassed all previous export records. It is about 90% higher compared to Indian smartphone exports in November 2023. Apple's iPhones constitute a large part of these shipments, followed by Samsung. Elon Musk's artificial intelligence startup XAI has rolled out the latest version of its chatbot Grok 2 for free. It will be available for users of Musk's social media platform X. So far, the platform's Premium and Premium Plus subscribers have had access to the chatbot. Moving to sports, we start with cricket. Day 3 of the third test match between India and Australia in Brisbane was marred due to frequent spells of rain. Australia have scored 445 runs in the inaugural innings of the match. In response, India were playing their first innings on day 3. Bad lights forced umpires to call early stumps. The 5-match series remains tied at 1-all. India's pacer Jasprit Bumrah was targeted with a racist remark during the day 2 of the third test match against Australia. The remark came from former England cricketer Isa Guha. Guha referred to Bumrah as pre-mate while speaking about his bowling prowess. The English cricketer turned commentator has since apologized for her remark. India beat West Indies by 49 runs in their first clash of the 3-match Women's T20 International Series. Batting first, India scored 195 runs for the loss of 4 wickets. In response, West Indies scored only 146 runs in their 20 overs. India's Jemima Rodriguez was named player of the match for her 73-run knockout. The hosts now lead T20 series 1-0. In football, Manchester City prevailed over Manchester United 2-1 in a Premier League derby. City's Joško Gvardiol scored the opening goal in the 36th minute. United struck late in the game with a penalty strike from Bruno Fernandes, which took the scoreline to 1-all. United's Amad Diallo scored the winning goal just when the final whistle was blown. Tottenham Hotspur crushed Southampton 5-0 in the Premier League. James Maddison scored opened Tottenham's account in the first minute of the game. Captain Son Heung-min and midfielder Dejan Kulusevski followed through to take Tottenham's tally 3-0. Pap Matasar struck the back of the net in 25th minute. Maddison struck against at the half-time to wrap up the match. Chelsea beat Brentford 2-1 in the Premier League. Chelsea's Marc Cucurella scored the opening goal just before half-time. Nicholas Jackson extended Chelsea's lead to 0 in the 80th minute. Brian Mbeumo salvaged for Brentford with a last-minute goal to take the scoreline 2-1. But Chelsea were not done yet as Cucurella struck the back of the net in the extra time. However, a red card verdict by referee disallowed the goal. In badminton, Chinese shuttler Chan Su-wei announced his retirement. The 27-year-old said he does not want to be defined as an Olympic champion. The three-time world champion said, and I quote, "Achieving more titles holds little appeal to me," end quote. And it was homecoming for the new chess world champion Gukesh Dumeraju. The 18-year-old Indian was garlanded and surrounded by supporters as he exited Chennai airport. Gukesh said that support from his fans filled him with energy. Gukesh defeated China's Ding Lishan last week to become the youngest ever chess world champion. Daniel Ricciardo appears to have confirmed his Formula One retirement. The Red Bull veteran was asked if he was joining the American team Cadillac. The 35-year-old responded with, and I quote, "No, I am done," end quote. The Australian driver was axed from the Red Bull team following an 18th place finish at the Singapore Grand Prix in September. Max Verstappen suggested he will stay with Red Bull forever. In an interview, the Dutchman said, and I quote, "It would be very beautiful if you could stay with one team and race there forever," end quote. Verstappen has won 4 Formula One World Drivers' Championship titles for Red Bull. Moving to the world of showbiz, Indian tabla virtuoso Zakir Hussain has passed away at the age of 73. He breathed his last in a hospital in the US. According to his family, he died due to lung complications. The 73-year-old musician has been hospitalized for past 2 weeks. Hussain was celebrated globally as a tabla player, percussionist, composer and actor. The woman who accused rapper Jay-Z for raping her has admitted of inconsistencies in her reports. She stated that not all the faces are clear in recollection. After this, the rapper's attorney is planning to take action against her. An object was thrown at Billie Eilish during her performance in Arizona over the weekend. However, she continued to perform despite the incident. She was singing the track "What Was I Made For" from the film Barbie. English is currently on her Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour. Rapper Drake has announced that he will give $10,000 to his lookalike contest winner in Toronto. This was unexpected for the organizers as they were not hoping the rapper's contribution. The event was to honor the rapper's art. Paul McCartney returned to Northern England for 2 electrifying concerts in Manchester, marking his first UK show since headlining Glastonbury in 2022. The performance is part of his Got Back tour, showcase hits spanning his Beatle days, Wings era and solo career. The tour began in 2022 and he has travelled through the US, Australia and Latin America. Actor Jamie Foxx suffered injuries after someone threw a glass at him. This happened during his birthday dinner in California over the weekend. According to reports, the actor got embroiled in an altercation with a person sitting at the next table. The police later registered a case. Kelly Riley has bid farewell to Yellowstone after 7 years. She will be seen in the final episode of the show. The actor shared the news with her fans on Instagram. She stated, and I quote, "Words cannot convey how I feel about the people I got to work and create with over the seasons," end quote. Sony's Kraven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson as Spider-Man's infamous foe, stumbled out of the gate with a dismissal $11 million debut. It marked the worst opening in Sony's universe of Marvel characters. It even fell short of February's flop Madam Web, which earned nearly $15 million. Netflix has renewed Season 2 of the same-sex Japanese dating reality show The Boyfriend. This comes after Japanese High Court ruled the country's ban on same-sex marriage unconstitutional. The first season of The Boyfriend debuted this year on July 9th. And finally, actor and comedian Pete Davidson in an interview stated that he doesn't want to be seen as a loser who just dates people. The actor wants to be known for his work. Davidson has previously dated women like Kim Kardashian, Ariana Grande and Kate Beckinsale. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gursheen Garland and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Stay informed and stay tuned to First Post.